Let us pray.
Almighty Father God, thank you so much, O God, today. Thank you for your blessing. Thank you for the life that you are giving us. Holy Spirit, we acknowledge your presence. O Lord, we declare that you are first in our life, in our family, in our finances, in our studies, in our work, in our business. Whatever we do, you are first. Help us, O God, to always remember that, and we declare and we acknowledge that without you, we are nothing. Lord, we praise you and we glorify you. We ask for your guidance, help in this endeavor, O God. Make each and every one of us successful in this. These things, O Father, we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good morning. Let us move on to flow of water in soil. Pag flow of water in soil, isa lang yung formula dyan. We apply the Darcy's formula. Q is A, K, I. Kaki. Yung I natin dito is the slope of energy grade line or hydraulic grade line, or this is I. Sa hydraulics, S ang symbol. Sa geotech, it's I. No? So, inclination of hydraulic grade line, that is H over L. Okay? Parehas din yan sa S dun sa hydraulics. Okay? Now, so, kaki. Q is the rate of flow, A is the area perpendicular to the direction of flow, K is the hydraulic conductivity or coefficient of flow or coefficient of discharge, okay? Or coefficient of permeability or coefficient of seepage. Okay? Isa lang yung coefficient na pinag-uusapan dito. Yan yung K. Okay? Now, ang sabi sa atin dito, we have here a constant head permeability test. The constant head permeability test is used for non-clayey or non-cohesive soil. So, kasi yung flow of water is considerable. Okay? Now, so sabi sa atin, the diameter is 150. Ito. And the length is 150. And the constant head difference is 40 centimeters. This is the setup. Ito yung soil sample natin and water is supplied here. If Q in is equal to Q out, meron bali ditong overflow, opening, and that pagka ito saka ito steady na, ito steady naman lagi. Pero pag ito steady na, that will happen when Q in equals Q out. So pag steady na to, ito yung entry point ng flow of water through the soil. Okay? Ito yung direction ng flow, no? So, ito yung entry point and the water surface is here. Ito yung exit point and the water surface is here. Pagka ipinag-connect mo, this is the hydraulic grade line. So, therefore, ang drop or yung head loss, sa geotech, ang tawag sa head loss is drop. From here to here, according to the problem, it's constant at 40 centimeters. Ang sabi, the time of collection of water is 83 seconds and weight of water collected is 392 grams. Remember that the density of water is, gamma of water is 1 gram per cc or cubic centimeter or centimeter cube. Kung ito ay 392 grams, 1 gram, 1 cc. So, this is also 392 cc. Ang tinatanong, yung hydraulic conductivity, that is K. Solve natin yung Q. Yung nag-gather na tubig dito, remember that Q is volume per unit time. And the volume is 392 cc, 392 centimeter cube per 83 seconds. Okay? Is equal to the area. The flow is here, the area is this. It's pi over 4 diameter squared. I-convert natin sa cm. 150 mm is 15 cm. So, times 15 squared. This is the area. Okay? Times K multiplied by I. Yung I is H, 40 over L. The length of flow from entry to exit is 150 mm or 15 cm. So, this is one equation in terms of K, and your K will be in centimeters per second because centimeters squared will cancel. What will be left will be cm per second. Let me compute. So, this is 0.01 centimeter per second. You follow? Okay, sige. In this particular problem, for stratified soil, we are asked here to find the equivalent vertical permeability or coefficient of permeability of a layered soil with the following data, H1, H2, and H3. So, the total of this is 5 plus 2 plus 4, 11 meters. Ito yung total H of the equivalent soil. Now, these are the respective Ks, K1, K2, K3 in centimeters per second. So, we're asked to find the K equivalent for the vertical permeability or vertical flow. Okay. Now, sa vertical flow, yung arrangement ng HK vertical din. H over K equivalent vertical is summation of H over K. Vertical, parang hika, no? Okay? So, ang gagawin lang natin, the H is 11 over the K vertical equivalent is going to be summation of H over K of H1. Hindi na ako mag-change ng unit or magko-convert. Anyway, parehas naman yung unit ng H, parehas yung unit ng K. So, ang kalalabasan na K is in centimeters per second. So, this is going to be 5 over 10 to the minus 2 plus 2 over 1.9 times 10 to the minus 2 plus 4 over 3.8 times 10 to the minus 4. This is one equation in terms of K equivalent, and we can solve for K equivalent. Okay? Let me solve. So, this is going to be KV equivalent is going to be 9.88 times 10 to the minus 4 centimeters per second. Naintindihan? Okay, you may copy. Let us have this one. A reservoir that is 3,400 square meter is underlain by layers of stratified soils. 4 layers, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is water, 15 meters deep. Okay? Now, we are to compute the average vertical coefficient of permeability in meters per hour, meaning the equivalent K. So, we have here, our formula will be the H over K dahil vertical. So, this would be KV equivalent. So, basta vertical din yung arrangement ng H and K, no? So, this is summation of H over K for individual soil. So, the total depth of soil, 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 8, ang total nito, ito yung H equivalent. So, you have here 10 plus 7, this is 17 meters. So, 17 over KV equivalent is equal to summation of H over K for individual soil. So, this would be 4 over 5 plus 3 over 2 plus 2 over 2.5 plus 8 over 3. One equation in terms of KV will be able to solve KV. And KV, if you compute it, it would be 2.94948, and this would take the same unit as this, centimeters per hour. Okay? Sige, kopya. What about this problem? We have here, according to this problem, the depth of water in this coffer dam outside is 10 feet. And the penetration of the sheet pile, this is the original sand layer. So, the depth of penetration from here is 18 feet. From here to here is 18 feet. And the water level in the ditch is 20 feet below the outside water level, no? Okay? So, this is the outside water level and this is the inside water level. This is the ditch, no? O yung daanan ng tubig sa, parang kanal ba, sa loob. So, this is 20 feet below this, so 10 feet, 10 feet. According to this, K is 5 times 10 to the minus 3 centimeters per second. We are asked here, what will be the seepage into the ditch per foot length of the cofferdam? Now, if you will see here, di ba sabi natin, ang formula natin para sa Q is equal to NF over ND times K times H. This is our formula. Okay? So, this NF is the number of flow channel, ND is the number of drops or number of grids. Ganito. Water will always flow through from higher elevation to a lower elevation. So, alam natin ito yung entry point ng water. Dito papasok, dito lalabas. Correct? Ang energy level dito nasa surface. The energy level here sa exit point is nasa surface. From here to here, the head or the drop is 20 feet. So, our H here is, this one is 20 feet. Yung K natin is 5 times 10 to the minus 3 centimeters per second. We will convert that into feet per second. Na? Now, ano yung NF? Ano yung ND? Yung NF saka ND, number of flow channels, water will flow from here to here. And from here to here, dalawang side. Kung isang side lang ito, kaso dalawang side, so times 2 sides. Isa rito, isa rito. That is the total Q. Tama? Maliwanag? Okay. Now, yung number of flow channel per side, 1, 2, and 3. Yung parang lanes ba? Daanan ng tubig. Okay? So, you have here 3, di ba? So, ito is 3, this one. What about ND? ND is the number of grids mula sa pasukan hanggang sa labasan, no? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, there are 8, di ba? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. This is not an equipotential line, no? This is 1, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay? So, this is 7. And NF is 3. So, we substitute our Q is 3 over ND, which is 7 times K. Our K is 5 times 10 to the minus 3 centimeters per second. So, this is 0.005 centimeters per second. I-convert ko siya sa feet, ha? So, this one, centimeters above, centimeters below, feet above. Kaya na ba natin? Okay. Yung centimeters, gawin nating meter, ha? Centimeter is 0.01 meter. So, this is meter. 1 meter is 3.28 feet. So, this is already feet. So, meters and meters will cancel. So, feet per second yan. Times H, our H is 20 feet. Times 1 foot width. 1 foot width, no? So, manglalabas feet, cubic foot. Times 2. Okay? So, computing that, we have, so you have here 0.0028 cubic foot per second. You follow? Sige, paki-absorb. Okay, let's move on to effective soil pressure. Soil pressure, vertical soil pressure is summation of gamma H. And parehas din yan sa soil. Basta vertical, kasi vertical yung gamma H is brought by gravity. Kaya yung gamma H na formula, kahit anong substance, solid, liquid, gas, applicable yan. No? Okay. However, pagdating sa soil, dahil meron niyang soil and merong water component, in the computation of shear strength, which we shall discuss later, kailangan natin ng effective soil pressure pati dun sa soil settlement. Okay? So, dito, yung tinatawag na gamma effective is simply gamma dry minus the unit weight corresponding to water only with the equal volume of the gamma dry. Parang ganito. Halimbawa, ito. Kung ito halimbawa ay dry soil, kunwari ito, isang particle lang para madali lang i-drawing. Kung ito yung dry soil natin, tapos ginawa mong saturated yan, nakalubog sa tubig. Ito yan, ha? So, ang tubig na ma-form dyan or mailalagay mo dyan is only this portion. Kasi, etong portion na to, this one is occupied by the solid. Naintindihan nyo? So, kung wala yung tubig, ang unit weight nito, gamma dry. Kasi, pag sinabi mong gamma dry, dry, solid, plus air. Tama? Pag sinabi mong gamma sat, solid plus water. Pero yung water, equal volume ng air. Tama? Correct. Tama po? Okay. Ano naman yung gamma effective? Yung gamma effective is gamma dry, no? Minus, or simplify ko, yung weight ng solid, negligible naman yung weight ng air, minus yung weight ng water displaced by the solid. Parang buoyant force doon sa solid. Tama? So, minus yon yung weight ng water displaced by solid over the total volume. Yun bale yung gamma effective. Kaya ang gamma effective is smaller than gamma dry. Pero hindi masyadong importante yung explanation na yon. Gusto ko lang paunawa, gamma effective is smaller than gamma dry. Kaya pag sinob mo yung gamma effective dito, dahil gamma effective plus gamma water is gamma sat, pag sinob mo yung gamma effective, or also known as gamma submerge, it would be gamma sat minus gamma water. Let me use this example to illustrate my point. A saturated clay that is 15 meters thick, ito, has a void ratio of 0.6, G of 2.7, and hinahanap sa atin, number 5, yung saturated unit weight of clay. Sabi natin, diba, puro parameter yan, so we've got to express it in terms of parameter. Sabi natin, diba, yung ating gamma wet is going to be the total weight over the total volume. But in terms of parameter, total weight is weight of solid plus weight of water. Weight of solid is the specific gravity of solid, G, gamma water. This is the unit weight of solid. Times the parametric volume of solid, that is 1. Diba? Ewan yan eh, diba? So, pwede ko na hindi sulat. Plus the weight of water, that is the density of water, times the parametric volume of water, GWES, GW, or ES. Meron akong E, saka meron akong S, dahil saturated to, ang gamitin ko is ES. Over parametric total volume, E, plus 1. So, kung gamma sat, ang mababago lang, S is 1. So, let me solve that. Yung gamma sat of clay is going to be G. Pwede kong i-factor yung gamma water, no? Pero pwedeng hindi na rin. Yung G natin is 2.7 times gamma water, that is 9.81, plus gamma water, that is 9.81, times E, 0.6. Dahil ito ay gamma sat, S is 1. All over E plus 1. 0.6 plus 1. So therefore, our gamma sat is going to be equal to 20.233 kilonewton per cubic meter. Kuha? Okay. Yung susunod na tinatanong, number 6, we're asked to find the total vertical stress at the bottom dito. So, this is going to be total pressure, P total, is the total unit weight, gamma sat. The total unit weight is gamma sat, right? So, gamma sat multiplied by H, which is 15. So, this is 20.233 times 15. So, you calculate this. This is going to be 303.5 kilopascal. Now, in number 7, we're asked to find the effective vertical stress at the bottom. One way to solve that, yung P effective at the bottom is gamma effective times H. Gamma effective is gamma sat minus gamma water times H, which is 15. Our gamma sat is 20.233 minus gamma water 9.81 times 15. And this would be 156.345 kilopascal. Nakuha niya? Or another way to solve that, yung P total is simply P effective minus P due to water. So, yung P effective natin must be equal to P total, that is 303.5, minus, this is plus, no? P total is P effective plus water. So, therefore, this is plus pressure of water, gamma water, 9.81 times 15. So, therefore, this is going to be, so this must be exactly the same as this, 156.35 kilopascal. Nakuha niya? Klaro po? Okay, sige, paki-absorb. Let us have this problem. Pag sinabi nating lateral, it means horizontal. Now, sa liquid or water, yung vertical pressure is gamma H. Yung horizontal pressure at that depth is also gamma H. Yan yung sabi ni Pascal, that in an ideal fluid or incompressible fluid or liquid, pressure is transmitted or radiated in all directions unreduced. No? Pero pagdating sa soil, hindi siya unreduced. It is reduced. So, kung gamma H yung pababa, yung vertical, yung horizontal is gamma H times certain number, ang tawag doon, coefficient of lateral pressure. Okay? Kung reaction siya, then that would be passive pressure. Okay? Anyway. Now, ang sabi sa atin dito, we have here a 6-meter retaining wall containing this dry soil whose dry density is 1.95 grams per cc. So I presume this is dry, no? An angle of shearing resistance or friction of 32 degrees. Specific gravity of soil solid is 2.65. And we are asked to find the total thrust on the wall. Now, dito, yung pressure on the wall due to soil, parang parehas din sa dam, no? Kaya lang ang pinagkaiba, this is soil. Itong pressure na to, kung liquid yan, this is gamma times 6. Kaso this is not liquid, but this is soil. Kaya ito ay gamma dry of soil. Gamma dry ang gamit ko dahil dry nga. So, gamma dry of soil multiplied by H, which is 6 meters. Kung liquid. Kaso hindi to liquid, kaya may multiplier na Ka. Yung Ka natin is going to be equal to 1 minus sine of phi, the angle of internal friction or shearing resistance over 1 plus sine of phi. So this is going to be equal to 1 minus the sine of 32 degrees, phi is 32, all over 1 plus sine of 32 degrees. So, therefore, this is going to be equal to 0.307. Okay? So, to solve the total thrust here, ito ngayon yung total thrust natin or total force that acts at the centroid of the triangle per meter strip. Tawagin natin itong Rx. Yung Rx natin is the volume of the pressure prism, that is the area of the triangle, times 1 meter strip. 1/2 of the base, Ka, which is 0.307, multiplied by gamma dry of soil. The gamma dry of soil is 1.9 grams per cc. So that is 1.9 grams per cc. So, ang kailangan natin is naka-kilonewton per cubic meter. So, i-convert natin to sa kilonewtons per cubic meter using the density of water. Grams per cc yung water is every 1 gram per cc of water. Ito yung unit weight ng water. In kilonewton, that is 9.81 kilonewton per cubic meter. So, grams per cc will cancel. Ito yung density of soil, right? Okay. Now, dito to be multiplied by 6. Ka gamma 6. Ito yan. 1/2 the base times the height. Yung height natin is 6 meters. Multiplied by the width. The width is 1 meter. You calculate this now, you'll be able to get your Rx. And your Rx would be 105.72 kilonewtons. Nakuha? So, kapag ka lateral pressure, yung gamma H, imumultiply lang ng Ka. Yung Ka is 1 minus sine phi over 1 plus sine phi. Pero pag tinawag na passive, K passive is equal to 1 over Ka. Dahil yung Ka ay less than 1, Kp is more than 1. Anong ibig sabihin ng passive? Yung passive, siya yung reactive. Nagre-react lang. Mangyayari yon kung itong soil na to, tinulak mo pa kanan, ang reaction pressure niya is passive. Magiging K passive to. Kailan itutulak ang soil? Parang ganito. Kung halimbawa, ito yung sheet pile, no? May soil dito, may soil dito. Mas mataas tong soil na to kaysa dito. ang tendency itong pile na to mag-move to the left, right? Dahil ang tendency nito mag-move to the left, ito, atong wall, palayo dito, ito, active condition. Okay? Kahit lumayo yung wall, mag-a-act yung soil. So, ito, Ka, active yan. Gamma of soil times H on the right. Ito yung H right. Pero etong wall na to, tinutulak to. So, ito, kung hindi niya tinutulak, K active, gamma H. Pero tinutulak, so mas malaki. So, this would be K passive, gamma of soil, multiplied by H left. Itong H sa left. Naintindihan? Ito, active. Etong nagre-react dahil tinutulak, passive. Naintindihan? Kuha niya. Okay. Sige. Okay, what about etong number 9? We are to determine the thrust on this wall if due to clog drain. So, meron tayong drain, pero nag-clog. Pero, hindi siguro lahat, no? So, dahil kung lahat, edi ang tubig aabot dito. So, due to clog drain, ibig sabihin during heavy rainfall, yung water dito hindi bumaba. Instead, yung drain natin is umabot lang yung tubig, yung water table, umabot ng 2.5 meters below the top of the wall. So, kung ito yung top ng wall, so umabot siya sa 2.5 below. Nandito yung water table. Ito, I would presume, dahil walang binigay na saturation above the water table, I will still presume that this is dry, no? So, this is our water table. Meaning, ito is saturated. Okay? Sa totoo lang, hindi pwede mangyaring dry tapos saturated. No? Meron niyang in between within the capillary region. No? Anyway, so just for the sake of the problem, we presume that this is dry, this is saturated. Lagay ko dito ha. This is dry soil. This is saturated. Now, remember yung K ng soil natin is 0.307. Pero ang K ng water is what? 1. Diba? Kung gamma H to ng water, yung horizontal niya, gamma H pa rin ng water. Okay? So, kaya importante ang effective soil pressure. Okay, i-drawing natin yung lahat ng pressure na nag-a-act dun sa 6 meters wall. Kung ito yung water table, sabi sa atin, this one is 2.5. So, dahil ito ay 6 meters, itong natitira is 3.5 meters. Ngayon, drawing yung pressure diagram natin dito starting from 0. So, this is going to be what? Tawagin natin yang, lagay ko lang dito ha, P1, na? Yung P1 natin is pressure due to 2.5 meters of dry soil. So, this is going to be what? Gamma of dry soil times 2.5. Okay? Kung liquid yan. Kaso hindi yan liquid, soil yan. So, meron niyang multiplier na Ka. Yung dry natin, gamma dry, i-convert ko na lang tong gamma dry na 1.95 grams per cc, diretso na sa sa kilonewton per cubic meter ha, para hindi na tayo convert. So, yung gamma dry natin na 1.95 grams per cc, so grams per cc above, grams per cc below, gamitin natin yung density ng water para conversion. 1 gram per cc of water in kilonewton is 9.81 kilonewtons per cubic meter. So, pag kinonvert mo to, this times this is 19.13 kilonewtons per cubic meter. Let me check. Okay? 19.13 kilonewton per cubic meter. So, this is going to be, Ka is 0.307 times gamma dry, 19.13 times 2.5. Okay? So, this is going to be 14.60682 kilopascal. Ito yung pressure dito. What about yung pressure at point dito? Okay? P2 na lang natin muna, ha? So, yung P2 natin, take note, this is now saturated soil. Paghiwalayin natin yung effective soil saka yung water para hindi tayo malito, ha? Kasi yung soil, meron tayong multiplier na Ka. Tama? So, dito sa point 2, ang pressure natin is P1, yung pressure dito, plus. Diba? Yung pressure dito sa taas. Dadagdagan natin yan ng gamma H. Okay? So, it would be P1, correct? Yung pressure sa level na to, plus bababa ng gamma H, correct? So, it is P1 plus gamma effective times H. The H is 3.5. So, etong gamma effective times 3.5, yan ay kung liquid, gamma H. Kaso, what soil to eh. Kaya may multiplier yan na 3 na Ka. Pagka lateral soil pressure, meron laging multiplier yan na Ka. Except na lang kung sinabing yung Ka natin sa soil is 1. Okay? Pwedeng mangyari yun. No? In that situation, yung soil natin is highly liquefied. Okay? Ibig sabihin, nasa liquid state, tapos highly liquefied na. So, ibig sabihin, umaagos na yung soil. Okay? So, dito bale, ito yung P1, gamma HKA, this is linear. So, pagka green up mo to, this is still triangular. So, yung pressure dito, parang ito, P1, para lang ito, in-extend mo lang pababa, P1, plus gamma H. Ito yun. So, ito yung P1, ito yung K, yung gamma effective 3.5 times Ka. So, i-compute ko to, ha? So, gamma effective times 3.5 times Ka. So, this is going to be gamma effective is gamma sat. Anong gamma sat natin? Wala pa tayong gamma sat, no? Okay? So, this is going to be gamma sat minus gamma water times 3.5 times Ka. So, isolve muna natin yung ating gamma sat. Sabi natin, di ba, yung ating gamma sat is equal to the total weight over the total volume. Tama? In terms of parameter, etong total weight natin is weight of solid, G gamma water, multiplied by the volume of solid, parameter is 1, plus the weight of water, that is density of water, times the volume of water, GW or ES. Meron ba tayong G? Meron tayong G. Meron ba tayong S? Yes. Kasi ang sosolve natin, gamma sat. So, pwede tayong GW or ES. Yung S1, pero wala tayong E, no? So, sabihin na lang natin E times S dahil gamma sat, RS is 1. Over the parametric total volume, this is E plus 1. In order for us to be able to solve gamma sat, kailangan natin ang value ng E. Wala tayong E. Pero remember, meron tayong value ng gamma dry. So, gamitin natin yung gamma dry, no? Tawagin ko muna tong equation 1, no? Kung ito gamma dry, kung yung gamma sat, ang S is 1, ang gamma dry, ang S is yung other extreme, 0. Kung ito 0, yung gamma dry natin is G, gamma water, kasi weight of solid lang, over the total volume, E plus 1. Alam natin yung value nito, alam natin yung G, we can solve E, right? So, we now substitute the values, no? So, our gamma dry is going to be, gamma dry is 19.13, is equal to G. Our G is 2.65. This is in kilonewton per cubic meter. So, times gamma water in kilonewton per cubic meter is 9.81 over yung E plus 1. So, over E plus 1. This is now just one equation in terms of E. We'll be able to solve our E. Our E, if we solve this, is going to be equal to 0.359. Meron na tayong E. We are ready to solve our gamma sat. No? Yung gamma sat natin, our gamma sat in equation 1 is going to be equal to G, that is 2.65, multiplied by gamma of water, 9.81, plus gamma water, 9.81, multiplied by E times S, which is 1. Our E is 0.359. S is 1 over E plus 1, 0.359 plus 1. So, you solve this one, we'll be able to get gamma sat is going to be equal to, pag sinolve mo to, you'll get 21.7 to 1. So, we are ready for this one. So, therefore, tawagin natin itong equation 2 na lang, patras. Okay? Our equation 2, so substitute this to equation 2, you'll have here, yung ating gamma effective times 3.5 times Ka is going to be equal to, this is 21.721 minus gamma of water 9.81, correct? So, minus 9.81 times 3.5 times Ka, which is 0.307. So, times 0.307. So, if we're going to compute this, this will be 12.8 kilopascal. So, let me reflect that in the drawing, the value, this is 12.8. Your P1 is 14.682. Ito is pressure due to effective soil. Pero may tubig yan eh. Pero ang tubig hindi mula dito. So, yung pressure due to water, ito. This is going to be gamma water times height. The height of water is 3.5. So, gamma water times height of water, 3.5. So, this is 9.81 multiplied by 3.5. Ano ang multiplier na K? 1. Kasi tubig to. This is pressure due to water. No? So, therefore, this is going to be equal to 34.335 kilonewtons. Naintindihan? So, kung kukumputin natin yung mga resultant, tawagin natin tong F1. For the rectangle, tawagin natin tong F2. Isan? For this triangle, tawagin natin tong F3. While for this triangle, let me call this F4. Computing all those forces, our F1 is going to be the volume of that pressure prism, area ng triangle, 1/2 the base. The base is P1, which is 14.682 times the height, 2.5 times 1 meter strip. Okay? You compute this in your calculator, what you will have will be 18.35 kilonewtons. Okay? So, computing yung F2, our F2, this one, is the volume of this rectangular pressure prism. So, that is simply area of rectangle P1 times height. So, it would be 14.682 times the height, which is 3.5 multiplied by 1 meter strip. So, you compute this and you will get here 51.38 kilonewtons. Okay? Now, yung F3 naman is going to be the volume of this triangular pressure prism. It's the area of the triangle, 1/2 of base, which is 12.8 multiplied by the height, 3.5. I'm referring to this triangle. The volume of that triangle is F3. Okay? So, times 3.5 multiplied by 1 meter strip. So, you calculate this one and you compute, you'll get 22.4 kilonewtons. Lastly, for this water pressure, our F4 is going to be equal to 1/2 of the base, 34.335. As you can see, the pressure of water is not negligible. This is actually even more than the pressure exerted by the soil itself. Okay? So, 34.335 multiplied by the height, this is 3.5, di ba? 1/2 of this times the height, 3.5. The height is not this one. This is slant height. By rule of perpendiculars, ang area ng triangle, 1/2 base times the height. Base is horizontal, height is vertical. Okay? So, times 1 meter strip. So, you calculate this and this is going to be equal to 60.09. Kung ito-total nyo ngayon to, ito yung resultant force. Yung resultant force is simply the summation of horizontal forces. And this is 18.35 plus 51.38 plus 22.4 plus 60.09. You add this and you'll get here 152.22 kilonewtons. Kuha niya? Naintindihan? Kuha? Okay, sige, paki-absorb muna. So what about itong number 10? At what height above the base of wall is the resultant thrust acting during the clog condition? So, kung ito yung mga forces F1, F2, F3, F4, so yung resultant niya dito, ito, 152.22, nasan daw siya? Okay? Sabihin natin ang resultant niya nandito. Okay? Mga dito, no? Let us call this the Rx. And yung vertical height niya from the base is y bar. Now, Rx is the resultant of F1 to F4, right? So, sabi natin by Varignon's theorem, the moment of the whole equals sum of the moments of the parts. So, let us apply Varignon's theorem to solve y bar. So, the moment of Rx about the base equals sum of moments of all other forces composing Rx is going to be about the base. So, yung Rx natin, we found this to be 152.22 kilonewtons. And yung moment arm niya about the bottom is y bar. So, multiplied by y bar equals F1. The moment arm of F1 from the base is this is triangle. So, this is 1/3 of 2.5. Ito. About the base. So, plus 3.5. So, it would be F1. Our F1 is 18.35 multiplied by 1/3 of 2.5. That is the position of the centroid of triangle plus 3.5. Ito yun, di ba? 1/3 of 2.5 plus 3.5. Okay? Now, plus F2, our F2 is 51.38 times the moment arm of F2, ito, about the base, this is 1.75. 1.75 plus R3 or F3 times the moment arm, ito, 1/3 of 3.5. F3 is 22.4 times 1/3 of 3.5. Lastly, the moment of F4, ito, is F4, which is 60.09 multiplied by moment arm 1/3 of 3.5. Okay? So, you calculate all of this, divide by 152.22, and you will be able to get your y bar, and this will be 1.75 meters. Naintindihan nyo? So, kapag ka horizontal pressure or force, that is gamma H times Ka. Ka is given by 1 minus sine phi over 1 plus sine phi, okay? Wherein phi is the angle of internal friction. Naintindihan? By the way, let me remind you, this is applicable only for horizontal backfill. Kapag ka-incline yung backfill, then the formula will be different. Okay? For the sake of giving you, nadaanan ko. So, yung Ka natin, kapag ka ito naka-inclined, ganon, naka-incline siya ng angle beta, yung Ka natin is going to be cosine, 7 cosine, no? Cos, 7 cosine. Ngayon, yung 5 cosine bakla, no? Ito. Bading, bayot, binabae, no? Okay? So, yung dalawa, yun yung papa. Okay? So, ito, squared, 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 minus. Ito minus, ito plus. So, ito yung denominator, ito yung numerator. Ang pinagkaiba lang ng numerator sa denominator, ito minus, ito plus. Itong naka-squared na to na 4, nasa loob yan ng square root. Para to compensate for the squared. Naintindihan? So, ito yung ating coefficient of active pressure. Pagka K passive, 1 over Ka. So, Ka is less than 1, Kp passive is more than 1. Klaro? Naintindihan? Pag yung beta is 0, ibig sabihin katulad nito, flat. So, beta is 0, no? Pag nag-beta is 0, this becomes 1, 1, 1. So, kung ito 1 minus cosine squared phi, 1 minus cosine squared is sine squared. So, square root of sine squared phi, that is sine phi. Kaya magiging 1 minus sine phi over 1 plus sine phi. Itong formula na to. Naintindihan? Kuha. Sige, paki-absorb. When it comes to settlement, the principle is this. I already had discussed this to you under soil compaction. The analogy is when you have here a foam sofa or a sofa bed or a foam bed. This is the wood base, this is the foam. When you lie down or sit down on it, the element that will be compressed or that will be compact or that will settle is not the wood part. Yung wood part relatively walang compaction. Ang mako-compact dito is only the foam, right? Yung foam ang mapre-press. Naintindihan? Pag pati yung wood na press, delikado ka, no? Okay? So, dito bali ngayon, kaparehas din niya ng sa soil. Kung ito yung solid, ito yung voids, pagka ito ay linode mo, ang mako-compress dito hindi actually yung mga solids. Yung solids, di ba, magre-rearrange lang yun. Correct? So, halimbawa, ito yung mga solids natin. Okay? Ito. Yung space sa gitna, ito yung isang flocculation lang, no? Pagka kinumpak mo yan, posibleng magkaroon dito ng mga miss or ng mga slip. Ang objective is mabawasan itong pore space in between. So, magkakaroon ng regroupings, small regroupings. So, yung mga solids hindi actually na-compress. Ang nabawasan lang yung space, eto, yung pore space in between. Naintindihan? So, ang bali na ko-compress dito, yung foam, hindi yung solid. So, pagka ito na-compress, originally, let us say, the original depth is H. In terms of parameter, this is E, the voids, ito 1, no? So, ito ay E, ito ay 1. Correct? So, pagka na-compress to, then ito mag-settle. Tama? So, etong change na to in H, ito yung delta H, this one, delta H, while this one is, in terms of parameter, this is delta E. Right? So, ito yung magiging settlement. So, ang gagamitin lang natin dito, itong analogy na to, para hindi tayo mag-memorize o magtanda ng complicated na formula. So, we have here delta H is to delta E. As H is to E plus 1. Naintindihan? Now, dito pag pinag-usapan natin yung settlement, hindi natin pinag-uusapan yung settlement ng sand, ng settlement ng gravel or non-cohesive soil. Kasi una, ang foundation natin, hindi natin gagamitin yung footing hindi natin itutuntong sa sand. Okay? Kasi mapapares tayo dun sa sinabi sa Bible na ng Panginoong Hesukristo, foolish is a man who builds his house on sand. Pagmasdan nyo to, ha? Sinabi ni Lord yon 2,000 years ago. Or actually, more than 2,000. Yeah, 2,000 years ago. Okay. Now, foolish is a man who builds his house on sand. Pero during the 1991 earthquake, hindi pa kayo tao no, no? Pero siguro narinig nyo yon. During the 1991 earthquake, ang pinakamalaking na damage na city sa buong Pilipinas, dung lindol na yon, it was a 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Sa ibang region, 7.9. Sa Baguio, 7.8, no? Sa ilang portion like Cabanatuan, Agoo, La Union, it climbed to 6.9. Okay? 7.9, I mean. Sa Dagupan City, 7.7 or 7.6. Medyo mas mahina doon. Sa Cebu, mahina kami noong time na yon, no? Mahina sa Cebu noon, nasa, if I'm not mistaken, wala pa ako sa Cebu noon, nasa Manila pa pala ako. Sa Manila noon, I was a new struggling civil engineer pa noon. Hindi ako nagtuturo noon kasi nung una ayaw ko magturo. I mean, iniwasan kong magturo. Although gusto kong magturo, iniwasan ko dahil I'm looking for the big money, no? So naghahanap ako sa industry ng kapalaran ko, no? Pero doon ko nakita kung ano yung passion mo, kung saan ka magaling, doon ka, no? Ako, from the very beginning, gusto kong magturo. Then, nag-struggle ako talaga sa industry. Okay? Pero nag-practice ako sa industry dahil nangontrata man ako. Ang ibig ko sabihin, ang bagal ng climb ko dahil, syempre, para kang isdang tabang na linagay sa alat. Hindi ka, parehas kang nakakalangoy, pero hindi ka makahinga dahil hindi yun yung environment mo. Pero kapag ilinagay ka kung saan ka, yung talagang yan yung pagkakagawa sa'yo. Then, walang effort. Pati yung growth mo, mabilis. So, nung nagsimula ko magturo niyan, nung magturo later, saka, doon ako parang, I feel free and I'm happier. Okay? And, I feel better and hindi masyadong stress. Matrabaho pero hindi nagkoko sa akin ng stress ba. Okay? So, ngayon, nung lumindol dyan, dito sa Pilipinas noon, sa Manila noon 6, nakasakay ako ng jeep na naramdaman ko umuuga yung jeep. Kala ko may mga nagtutulak lang sa gilid. Tapos nakita namin, nagsisigawan yung mga tao dahil traffic man sa Manila, 1990 pa, no? So, traffic, nakita ko yung wall gumaganon, no? Okay? Kala namin linilin lang kami ng mata, pero nararamdaman natin, umuuga yung jeep. Una, naglilingunan, sino bang gumagalaw ng jeep nung may sumigaw na lindol? Nakita namin yung may ginigibang building, wala nang mga kasama yung building, iniwan lang yung wall na ganon. Umuugang ganon, takbuhan kami, dahil baka mabagsakan kami, dahil katabi lang namin. So, sa buong Pilipinas noon, to cut the story short, anong city ang pinaka worst and damage? Mali, hindi Baguio. May mga popular building, ang pinaka-popular na na building na nag-collapse, yung Hyatt Hotel. Tapos yung Hyatt Hotel, dito sa Baguio, hindi na bumalik yon, no? Nag-declare man sila ng bankruptcy. So, pero sa Hyatt Hotel na yon, I want you to know, dun sa lindol na yon, maraming natutuhan ang Philippine Civil Engineers, no? Ang kasama na dyan yung ASEP. Kasi hindi marunong makinig sa Bible. The Bible is not just a religious book. Actually, it's not a religious book. It is about principles, how to live well, pati kung paano yumaman, kung paano hindi maging mahirap, nandyan. Pati kung paano pumasa ng board exam, nandyan sa Bible. Diba? Hindi lang yan sa pagpapakabait. Hindi lang yan para sa mapunta ka sa langit. Kasi the Bible is more than just going to heaven. So, balik tayo. Punta tayo sa application. Sa application yan, eto, no? Ang pinaka na damage is Dagupan City. Bakit? Sa Dagupan City, halos lahat ng buildings 4 stories and above. Wala namang masyadong mataas sa Dagupan. Parang, if I may recall, right, ang pinakamataas dyan, mga 6 stories nung time na yon. Pero karamihan, 4 stories and above, and majority ng mga 3-story buildings. 3-story lang ha, kailangang i-retrofit. Dito sa Baguio, maraming building dito. Ang naging solution, kung dati siyang total stories ay 8, kinalahati, binawasan, hindi na inalaw yung 4. Pinagiba yung 4 para magamit lang yung natitirang floors. Okay? Ngayon, balik tayo sa Dagupan. Bakit ang Dagupan ang pinaka na-damage? Okay? You may check it from your almanacs or from records ng lindol na yon. Bakit ang pinaka na-damage Dagupan? Ba't pinakamaraming buildings ang na-damage sa Dagupan? Although walang mas kasing popular ng Hyatt Hotel sa Dagupan. Kasi during the time, ang Dagupan, although asensado namang syudad, no? Pero hindi ganun katataas yung buildings. And in fact, hindi pwedeng magtayo ng mataas talagang building sa Dagupan using the conventional method. Now, nagkaroon ng soil investigation sa Dagupan City kung bakit ang maraming buildings doon nagkaroon ng major structural defect. Ganito kasi. Na-discover na 2 meters to 5 meters below. On the average, Dagupan City is built on a saturated sand. Isipin mo, sabi nga ni Lord is, foolish is a man who builds his house on sand. Tayo, we built not just a house but an entire city on sand. Yun yung cause. Naintindihan nyo? Okay? Hindi basta-basta, hindi yun analogy lang. Pagmasdan yung sabi ha. Pag tinuloy mo sa yung sinabi ni Lord, ang sabi niya is, foolish is a man who builds his house on sand. The rain pours, the wind blows, representing shaking. The rain pours, representing water. Anong mangyayari kapag ka ang sand na-saturate? Ang sand kasi, umaasa lang yan sa friction between particles to hold this together. Imagine, ito yung load. Kung ito yung load, umaasa yan sa shear strength. Yan yung topic natin after this. So kapag kasya na break, ibig sabihin yung support nito, mag-collapse yan. Tama? Mawawala ng support yung building. Correct? So, umaasa ka sa friction. Pag linubog mo yan sa tubig, yung tubig, the water will serve as lubricant. Mababawasan ang friction. So, pag nabawasan ng friction, lalo nang posibleng mag-fail yan. Right? Naintindihan? Lalo na kung nakalubog. Yung friction will be negligible. Lalo na kung kinalog mo. Pag kinalog mo yan, lulutang yan. Yun yung tinatawag sa geotechnical engineering na liquefaction. Okay? the loss of strength due to loss of contact. Kasi friction lang inaasahan mo eh. Yun yung beauty ng clay. Kasi ang clay, kung pure clay, wala man siyang friction, pero meron siyang cohesion. Dahil malagkit yan, magkadikit talaga. Tama? May cohesion eh. Tama? Okay. Now, kapag kinalug mo yan, kahit kalugin mo yan, magkadikit pa rin yan. Tama? Pwedeng ma-deform ng konti or malaki, depende sa condition ng clay mo, pero still, hindi siya mawawala ng totally ng strength. Naintindihan nyo? Yun yung concept. Kaya, after that, actually may kaibigan akong, may kakilala akong structural engineer noon, a lot more senior than me, na yumaman dahil sa lindol na yun, no? Kasi, yung isang building, if I'm not mistaken, kaisa-isang building, sa buong Dagupan, it's a 6-story buildings na siya yung structural engineer. Kahit hindi pa siya masyadong senior, nasa 27 siya noong time na yon. Yun yung kaisa-isang building na pa-after ng lindol. 6 stories hindi nagiba sa Dagupan. Bagong building. So, nakilala yung pangalan niya doon. After that, ang dami niyang naging project. Hindi ko na sabihin pangalan niya, ha? Nung una, pinagtatawanan siya dahil OA daw yung pagkakakonstruct niya. Kasi 6-story lang naman. Tapos, hindi pa masyadong popular nun yung, ginagawa na sa time namin yung pile foundation. Okay? Kasi yan yung thesis niya nung nag-aral siya. So, maraming nagtatawa sa kanya dahil 6-story lang yung building niya. Tapos, not a 6-story. 4-story building, no? Tapos ipinail, no? Ginamitan ng pile. So, nakakatawa nung time namin. 4-story tapos ginamitan mo ng pile. Wala ngang elevator. Pero, doon na-realize after that, nakilala siya, yan lang yung building na hindi nagiba. 4 stories. Sa lahat ng 4 stories, siya lang yung building na ang repair yung mga crack lang sa wall. Pero the structure itself, intact. Yung mga katapat niya na mga katumbas niyang structure, meron mga guho, no? Bagsak, no? So, pero yon nakatayo. Kasi, binild niya sa pile. Ang pile kasi, ang nangyayari kung meron kang sand, for example, ito, gusto mong i-bypass yung sand, edi yung foundation mo, papasok ka dyan ng pile hanggang tumuntong siya sa rock, or kung masyadong makapal yung clay, pwedeng ang gamitin mo is yung friction piles, no? So, dito, kakapit ngayon yung pile dun sa clay or tutuntong siya sa rock. So, hindi na sa sand nakatuntong yung foundation mo. Basically, it's on clay, either on clay or on rock. Naintindihan niyo? Nakuha niyo yung concept nito? Maliwanag. So, foolish is a man who builds his house on sand, lalo na kung saturated. Pero hindi sinabi ni Lord na foolish is a man who builds his house on clay. Pero hindi niya rin sinabing wise, no? Pero dito sa Pilipinas, most of our soils are clayey. Meron talagang clay. Okay? Kaya nga, di ba, itong halos buong Asia, kaya nga tayo ay rice eater. Di ba? Hindi nyo ba napansin bakit tayo rice samantalang pwede naman talagang ang kainin natin potato, di ba? Okay? Bakit tayo rice eater? Although nag-grow tayo ng potato, it is simply because it is dictated by our soil. Kasi mayaman tayo sa clay soil. Alam naman natin ang gustong lupa ng palay, di ba? Clay. Naintindihan nyo ko? So, anyway, tuloy natin. So, hindi sinabi ni Lord na clay is a bad foundation. Okay? It is the in-between. Pero not close to being as bad as sand. Isa lang ang problema ng clay. That is the settlement. it's not that it will not settle or it will settle very bad. Ang problema sa settlement ng clay is because the granules are very fine, yung moisture or yung water will take time para ma-discharge or ma-displace. So, ang ibig sabihin, ang settlement niya will happen very or extremely gradual. Minsan, it will take years to realize yung full settlement ng clay. Kung magtatayo ka ng building nasa clay, maghihintay ka ng years bago mo ma-realize yung full settlement, baka hindi mo matapos yung building. So, the challenge is to be able to predict accurately yung magiging settlement. Naintindihan? Okay, let's do it. So, dito, etong delta H na binabanggit natin dito, automatically, ang pinag-uusapan natin, clay, ha? So, ito ay delta H in the H of clay, delta E in the E of clay, ito is E of clay at present. Itong dalawang to, present to. Ngayon yan. Etong delta E na to, saka tong delta H na to, future to. So, ito yung predict natin. To be able to predict delta H, you will be able to predict or calculate accurately yung magiging change in E. Naintindihan? Yung change in E, kinukompute natin yan using the E log P diagram. Mas magandang maintindihan nyo lang to kesa i-memorize lang natin basta yung formula. This is the E, this is the log of P. Okay? Our time allotted will not be sufficient to discuss all cases. So, I will just discuss etong basic case, yung normally consolidated clay. Itong bend point na to, ito yung pre-consolidation pressure, PC, or yan yung pressure, PO, in case of a normally consolidated clay. So, equal to PO for normally consolidated clay. Naintindihan? Okay. Now, ito, the slope of this is the consolidation coefficient. So, or compression coefficient. Some call it that way. So, this is 0.009 LL minus 10. LL is the liquid limit in percent. Ha? Okay? Now, that is the slope of this. Ngayon, etong horizontal naka-log. So, etong point na to is representing the pressure at mid-clay layer plus the pressure added by the structure or by the additional load. So, ito will be PO plus delta P. So, di ba, yung change in X is X right minus X left. Kung yan ay P or X lang. Pero ito log X or log P. Ang ibig sabihin kung ito PO, mula dito hanggang dito, dito ko lang sulat ha, this must be log of PO. Kung ito PO plus delta P, yung distance nitong point na to from this vertical axis is log of PO plus delta P. Kuha niya? Kaya itong horizontal na to, taking it from this triangle, ito, this horizontal is going to be log PO plus delta P minus log PO. So, this is log PO plus delta P minus log of PO. By property of logarithm, pero kahit walang property of logarithm na natandaan ka, kaya namang isolve ng calculator to. Kasi klaro naman dito, di ba? Pero kung alam mo yung property of logarithm, pwede rin. Difference of logarithms is logarithm of quotient. PO plus delta P over PO. You follow? Naintindihan? Okay. So, alam natin yung formula sa analytic geometry na y is mx plus b. Okay? I-limit ko lang doon sa y is mx para limit lang sa triangle. So, kung ito yung x, yung y niya, ito yung e, so yung y is the delta e, the change in e. Okay? The change in e brought about by delta p. Kasi ito PO lang. No? Ito PO plus delta p. So, the change in e brought about by delta p is this. Okay? So, this is y is mx. Ano yung slope nito? CC times the x log of PO plus delta p over PO. So, kung isa-substitute ko yan dito, my delta H is going to be equal to H over E plus 1 times delta E. Yung delta E ko is going to be CC log of PO plus delta P over PO. Ito yung formula na makikita nyo sa mga libro. Do you follow? Maliwanag. So, pwede nyong gamitin to basta normally consolidated clay. Ang ibig sabihin ng normally consolidated clay, the pre-consolidation pressure, that is the pressure at the center of clay layer, before construction or before the load, is equal to the pressure at the center of the clay layer after the load. Yung before saka after parehas. Paano mangyayari yon? Kung yung soil natin before and after hindi nabawasan. Naintindihan? Maliwanag. Or hindi nadagdagan after construction. Ha? Maliwanag. Okay. Sige, pakikwenta lang. Okay? Paki-absorb lang. Ha? Sige, paki-absorb lang. Okay? Sige. Okay, let's have this problem now. So, we have here this sand and clay, 3 meters, 2 meters. The water table is located at 1.5 meters beneath the soil surface. So, ito yung original soil. And what we are solving here is actually the settlement of clay. Now, this is the original situation. Then, this soil was loaded with a backfill, tinambakan, no? Pero ang load yung backfill. Siguro, tambakan to ng mga lupa temporarily. Ang tinatanong ngayon dito is, what will be the settlement of clay? Kuha nyo? So, maraming dahilan kung bakit i-backfill construction-wise, ha? Pampatas ng level, minsan, it's a pre-consolidation pressure, so on and so forth. But what we are interested here is nandito sa soil na to, itong backfill na to is serving in this problem as a load, no? So, ang sabi sa atin dito, so for the 2 meters clay layer, yung E natin is 0.92, RG is 2.72, the consolidation coefficient is 0.333, so hindi natin kukumputin. So, the above the clay is a sand layer of 3 meters thick with E. Ito daw, tong sand na to, ang E is 0.5, G is 2.62. Water table is located 1.5 meters below the ground surface. Ito yung ground surface, na? Okay? Now, if 3 meter thick backfill is placed over the existing ground, we are asked here to determine the consolidation settlement of the soft clay layer. Ito. If the unit weight of the backfill is 17.3. So, ang sabi natin dito, di ba, ang ating delta H is equal to H over E plus 1 times CC multiplied by log of PO plus delta P over PO. Yung H ng clay is 2 meters, A of clay is 0.92, CC is 0.333. Yung delta P natin is the change in pressure in clay brought about by the load. Ang load natin dito, remember, etong backfill na to, siya yung load. Ha? Naintindihan? Load siya. It must be treated as a load here. So the pressure added by this backfill is delta P. Our delta P is going to be gamma of backfill multiplied by H. So this is 17.3 times 3. So therefore, this is going to be 51.9 kilopascal. Ito yung ating delta P. Isa na lang ang problema. Ano yon? Yung PO. PO is the effective pressure at middle of clay layer. So, tawagin natin tong middle of clay layer na point O. So, yung ating PO is pressure at point O, pero hindi kasama yung load, ha? Ang nandyan lang yung soil. So, eto ngayon, we have here 3 meters of sand, pero eto yung water table. Ang sabi dito, we are to assume that sand above water table to be completely dry. So, eto dry sand, eto saturated sand. Mahirap mangyari yan, pero yun yung assumption dito. Kasi dapat between dry sand and saturated sand, merong in between yung wet sand, no? May transition. So, therefore dito, it would be gamma dry of sand times 1.5 plus 1.5 thick of saturated clay dahil effective tayo, o saturated sand I mean. So this would be gamma sat of sand minus gamma of water. Ito yung effective gamma times H 1.5 plus hanggang ulang, ha? Plus 1 meter of saturated clay. So that would be gamma sat of clay minus gamma of water times 1 meter. Let me call this equation 1. Let me call this equation 2. Ang pinaka kailangan natin dito, gamma dry of sand, gamma sat of sand, and gamma sat of clay. Ang meron tayong mga data, yung mga parameters. Okay? So, let us do this. Yung gamma wet, simulan natin sa sand. Sabi natin dito, di ba, our gamma wet is going to be what? The total weight over the total volume. But in terms of parameter, what is the total weight? In terms of parameter, the total weight is weight of solid plus weight of water. Weight of solid is the density of solid, G gamma water, times volume of solid in parameter 1. Okay? Plus, weight of water, that is gamma of water, times volume of water in parameter, that is GW or ES. Ang gamitin ko yung ES because available yung E both ng clay and ng sand. So, ES plus yung saturation nila. Na? So, over the parametric total volume, that is E plus 1. Tama po? Okay. So, unahin natin ngayon yung gamma dry. Yung gamma dry is gamma wet, pero yung S is 1. S is 0. So, para sa gamma dry, for gamma dry, S equals 0. So, therefore, our gamma dry is gamma dry of sand is going to be equal to G. Ano yung G of sand? 2.62. Gamma of water, 9.81. This is 0. S is 0. So this is 0. So over E of sand plus 1. 0.5 plus 1. So therefore, computing this, the gamma dry of sand is 17.13 kilonewton per cubic meter. Okay? Now, kailangan natin ngayon ng gamma sat of sand. Para naman sa gamma sat, for gamma sat, S is equal to 1. So, substituting this, yung S natin is equal to 1, no? So, you have here, eto, 2.62. G of sand is 2.62. Gamma of water, 9.81. Plus, gamma of water, 9.81. E, ano yung E ng sand? 0.5. Times S, dahil saturated, 1. Over E plus 1. E of sand, 0.5 plus 1. You compute this and you'll get 20.4 kilonewton per cubic meter. Isa na lang ang problema natin, yung clay. So, para naman sa clay, eto, yung gamma sat of clay, so para naman sa clay, for gamma sat of clay, S equals 1. So, gamma sat of clay is going to be G of clay, 2.72 times gamma of water, 9.81 plus gamma of water, 9.81 times E of clay, 0.92. Dahil gamma sat, S is 1. All over E plus 1, the E of clay is 0.33, 0.333 plus 1. You calculate this now, and this is going to be 18.6 kilonewton per cubic meter. Okay? Alright. So, meron na tayo nitong mga gamma sat, gamma dry, gamma sat of clay. All we need to do is substitute everything to equation 2. Naintindihan? So, substituting all these values to our equation 2, so we have PO effective is going to be gamma dry, which is 17.13 times 1.5 plus gamma sat of sand, which is 20.4 minus 9.81 multiplied by 1.5 plus gamma sat of clay, 18.6 minus 9.81 times 1 meter. Okay? So you try to calculate this now. This is going to be your PO. And PO will be 50.37 kilopascal. So we are now ready to substitute to equation 1 in order to solve our delta H. It is equal to H of clay. The H of clay is 2 meters. Over E of clay is 0.92 plus 1 times CC 0.333 multiplied by log of PO 50.37 plus delta P the delta P is 51.9 over PO 50.37. So you try to calculate this. Our delta H is going to be equal to 0.107 meter or 107 millimeters. Naintindihan? Klaro to? Okay, sige. Kopya. Let us take situation number 3. In a triaxial test of a normally consolidated clayey soil, cohesion and angle of internal friction were found to be 31. This is the cohesion. And the angle of friction is 28 degrees. We are asked here to find, sabi dito, the maximum shear stress is 65. Find the confining pressure, that is sigma 3. We are also to compute the principal or maximum stress and the normal stress at failure. Ang tatandaan natin, para lang yan sa friction, sa mechanics na pinag-aralan natin, kung ito yung normal, ito yung weight, tapos meron kang force dito, ang resistance dito is friction. And yung friction natin is mu times N. Yung resultant ng F saka N, etong R, the angle it makes with the normal is phi. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kung ito yung friction, ito yung N, ito ngayon yung R, ito yung phi. So, kung F to, this is also F, then tangent of phi is F over N. But F over N is mu. So, we say that this is also tangent of phi times normal. Kaya lang yung normal na totoo, hindi actually concentrated. Etong normal na to, resultant to ng normal stress. Itong friction na to, hindi rin concentrated. Resultant to ng total friction, distributed friction. Kaya, yung ating distributed friction is actually the tangent of phi times the normal stress. Ang resistance dito is friction, pero hindi lang basta friction. Kasama yung kung clay yan, may cohesion. Kaya, ang total shear strength ng soil is equal to cohesion plus friction. The friction is tangent of phi times the normal stress sigma. Naintindihan? So, hindi nyo kailangan at hindi dapat minememorize mo lang yung formula. Para yang pag may gusto ka sa babae, hindi mo dapat minememorize lang yung babae. Di ba? Tama? Kasi ang minememorize, nakakalimutan eh. So, dapat una, alam mo ang gusto mo, alam mo ang dapat. Pag alam mo yung gusto mo at alam mo yung dapat, yung tamang principle, then, walang mapapahamak. Okay? Walang makakalimutan. Lahat maayos. Kahit kailan pa yan, maayos yan. Tama? Okay, dito tayo. So, ang sabi sa atin dito, yung cohesion daw, 31, and yung ating angle of friction, 28. Look here, in this equation. Kung ito yung ating tau axis, at ito yung ating sigma axis. Parang ito x, ito ay y. Tandaan nyo yung equation natin na y is mx plus b. Yung b, y-intercept. So, dito ang naka-isolate yung c. C is the y-intercept. Parang ito. Itong equation na to, ito yung tau, ito yung sigma, ito yung tau. Lagi ko dito yung equation ha. Ito yung tau is equal to cohesion plus tangent of phi times sigma. X, y, y-intercept. So, ito pala is the y-intercept, the cohesion. And this cohesion, according to the problem, is 31. Kuha nyo? And etong m dito is the slope. Pero di ba sa slope, if the angle it makes with the horizontal is theta x, slope is what? Tangent of theta x. Look at the correspondence. Tangent theta x, x, tangent phi, x. Ibig sabihin yung phi dito sa equation, the angle of friction, is represented in the graph as the angle the line makes with the horizontal. Ito yung phi. So, ang phi daw natin dito, sabi sa problem, is 28 degrees. Naintindihan? Klaro? Okay. Now, before I proceed, let me first compute this one. By taking the tangent of 28 degrees, the tangent of 28 degrees is opposite 31 over this one. Let me call this the x-intercept over the x-intercept. So, solving our x-intercept here, this would be 58.30. You get it? And this is, of course, in kilopascal. No? So, we found this to be 58.30. Kuha? Okay. Now, ang tatandaan natin, itong capacity line, this is the tau capacity or the tau strength of the soil. Yung Mohr circle natin represents the actual stress. Ito represents the capacity line. Okay? Sa Mohr circle, hindi ko ma-detail ha. It takes medyo mahaba-habang discussion, no? Tong Mohr circle, limited because of our very limited time. I will just give yung highlights or PowerPoints, no, ng topic na to. Now, sa Mohr circle, sa triaxial apparatus, una, withdraw yung stress along X. So, yung stress along X sa triaxial apparatus, ito yung X point, that would be only the confining pressure sigma 3. Ito yung hinahanap dito sa number 12. So, we are looking for this value. Okay? Now, yung Mohr circle natin, yung delta P, or the deviator pressure or stress, that is the diameter. So, ibig sabihin, eto yon, habang nag-i-increase yung delta P, palaki ng palaki yung diameter ng circle. So, yung actual stress actually is increasing. Now, we say that it is at the point of failure, kailan? When the actual stress reach the capacity. And this point of tangency is the failure point F. Okay? So, this is the point of tangency. So, ang tatandaan natin, the Mohr circle at point of failure is always tangent or touches or reaches the capacity line. So, sabi natin sa geometry, di ba, when a line is tangent to a circle, the first step is to connect or draw the radius connecting the point of tangency to the center. Ito yung center natin. Meron sa ating binigay dito, ang ating tau max is 65. Maximum shearing stress. The maximum shearing stress, dahil shearing stress is vertical, so the maximum shearing stress is at the highest point. Ito. So, ito yung ating tau max. Okay? So, obviously, our tau max is simply the radius. Correct? And this, of course, is 65. So, ang ibig sabihin, ito ay, this is the radius, which is 65. This is also radius, which is 65. This is radius, which is 65. This is 65. This is also 65. Tama? Kuha niya. Okay. Now, ang hinahanap sa atin dito, sigma 3, paano natin isa-solve? Ganito, ha? Okay. Now, di ba sabi natin sa geometry, basta merong point of tangency, sigurado gagamitin yung triangle containing this radius. So, if I will take this triangle, sa triangle na to, I know one angle, I know another angle. If I need it, I can solve this angle now. So this is the complement of this dahil 90 to eh. One side, one angle, another angle, two angles one side, I can solve this side. That contains sigma 3. Dito sa side na to, ang unknown lang sigma 3 because we know this, I can solve this, right? By taking the sine of 28 degrees from this triangle, its opposite, 65, over 65 plus sigma 3 plus 58.30. So this is one equation in terms of sigma 3. Solving sigma 3 is 15.15 kilopascal. Okay? So punta tayo sa number 13. We are asked to find the principal or the maximum stress. The maximum actual stress, kung yung maximum shearing stress is the highest point, the maximum normal stress sigma is the rightmost point. Ito yan. So the value of sigma here is the maximum stress. So it means, ito yung sigma max. Pag sinabi kang principal problem ka, major problem ka, maximum problem ka. Ha? Okay? So, our sigma max from our figure, dito ko na lang dugtong ha, number 13. So, our sigma max is going to be equal to sigma 3 plus 65 plus 65. Tama? So, this is sigma 3 plus 2r. So, this is going to be 15.15 plus 2 times 65. So, this is going to be 145.15 kilopascal. Naintindihan nyo? Sige, paki-absorb sandali. Number 14. Ang hinahanap naman sa number 14, we are asked here to find the normal stress at failure. Dito. Ang normal stress dito, ito yung normal stress. Sigma at F. Okay? So, ito yung ating tau at F. This is sigma at F. Parang ito yan. Kung ito yung soil natin dun sa triaxial apparatus, di ba nag-fail dito? Ito yung failure. Hindi naman mag-fail yan ng horizontal eh, nakatagilid. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung failure plane. Ito ngayon yung normal stress at failure plane F. Tapos, yung shearing stress dyan, ito ngayon yung tau at F. Naintindihan nyo yung figure? Okay. So, ito yung sigma F, ito yung tau at F. So, paano natin masosolve to? Ito alam natin, sigma 3 plus 65. So, para ma-solve yung sigma F, kailangan natin ito. Ito. Let me call this as Z. No? Okay. Now, look. Dito sa triangle na to, from horizontal to incline is 28 degrees. So, from the normal to incline, ito. To vertical, horizontal to incline is 28. From vertical to normal, this must also be phi, which is 28 degrees. Tama po? Okay. Now, so therefore, in this triangle, R is the hypotenuse, Z is the opposite. So therefore, my Z is going to be R sine of 28 degrees. Yung R natin is 65. 65 sine of 28 degrees, this is going to be 30.52 kilopascal. So, ito ay 30.52. So, therefore, I am ready to solve sigma F. My sigma F or our sigma F must be equal to sigma 3 plus 65 minus Z. Okay? So, we just substitute our sigma 3 is 15.15 plus 65 minus 15 minus Z, 30.52. So therefore, our sigma F is going to be equal to sigma F is going to be equal to 15.15 plus 65 minus 30.52. This is 49.63 kilopascal. Naintindihan? Clear? Okay? Kung may mga tanong kayo ha, huwag kayong mahiyang magtanong dun sa group chat natin sa UCore. Huwag kayong dun sa group chat natin, dun sa create namin, create yung messenger group chat para kung may mga questions kayo, pwede kayong magtanong, no? Okay? Mas magandang magtanong bago mag-exam kaysa saka ka nagtanong, bagsak ka na. Diba? Naintindihan? So, hindi kami mag-charge, walang extra charge para dyan, para tulungan namin kayo, no? Okay, sige.